Welcome everybody to our council meeting tonight, the 24th of September 2024. Thank you for being here. I declare the meeting open at 5:31, and I'd just like to advise that the meeting is being recorded in accordance with the city's recording of council meetings policy. By being present at the meeting today, members of the public consent to the city recording and subsequently publishing their voice on the city's website. I'd like to acknowledge that we're here this evening on Mandurah and pay my respects to elders past and present. But an apology this evening from the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Knight. And as always, I'll just advise for the benefit of the members of the public that any decision tonight that's made by council can be revoked in accordance with the Local Government Act, and therefore please don't act on anything that you see tonight until receiving notification in writing. There are no online attendees, so therefore we won't be amending the standing orders, therefore we will move into public question time. I'll open public question time at 5:32. Is there anyone wishing to ask a question to the meeting? I've received one question that's been submitted to me in advance of the meeting by Mr. Daniel Freeman. I'll read out the question and then direct it to the relevant officer. My question to council is with regards to the idea that there would be retention of trees and habitable floor levels, shrubs, grass trees and plant life supporting the immediate ecosystem. How is it possible with the idea of reducing the blocks, assuming this is in relation to Pleasant Grove, from R2.5, R5 to now R10 and possibly lower? Would this be achievable considering underground power, water and deep sewerage systems? We see how new developments are executed and not a tree is standing. This area, lot 801, is a sensitive area and would normally be set aside for conservation or parklands. And I'll direct the question to Mr. Ingle.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. A very important consideration for the potential retention of environmental values across lot 801 Pleasant Grove Circle is the use of local development plans as recommended within the scheme provisions that were endorsed by council at the last month's meeting. The LDPs would be informed by tree retention management plans and environmental management plans that are also recommended. The LDPs provide for lot by lot planning that allow improved controls. The council report from August does go into some detail about the assessment that was done and the controls that were able to be put in place to try and achieve a positive outcome in this regard.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ingle. Are there any other questions from the public gallery? There be none, I'll close public question time at 5:34. There are no public statements, but we do have a leave of absence request this evening from Councillor Zolani in relation to a leave of absence request from the 18th of the 11th, 2024 until the 23rd of the 12th, 2024, inclusive. Is there a mover and a seconder for that? Moved Councillor Shoemaker, seconded Councillor Wilkins. Is there anyone opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you, Councillor Zolani, for bringing that to the council. There are no petitions this evening, nor any presentations or deputations, so we'll come to confirmation of minutes. There's a motion on the screen before you that relates to the confirmation of minutes from the 27th of August. Is there a mover and a second that they be confirmed? Councillor Kearns, thank you. Councillor Smith, seconded. Is there anyone opposed? The motion's carried. Councillors, now come to announcements, and there have been several great events over the course of the month that I'd love now to take the opportunity to reflect on. To begin with, I'm going to ask Councillor Smith to tell us about the Women's Health Week Fun Run. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, through the Mayor. On Sunday, the 8th of September, I attended the Women's Health Week Fun Run. I've never known why it's called fun. I don't find it that fun myself. However, it was more like a 4.5 kilometre walk or shuffle as opposed to an actual run. Luckily, the rain held off and we enjoyed beautiful autumn weather. We attended the event at Calypso Road Reserve, running along the beach path, along the watchful eye of the gorgeous Sandy Icto Giant in Hall's Head. This year's theme was Your Voice, Your Choice, and it was aimed at shining a light on some of the biggest issues in women's health and empowering women to use their voice when it comes to their health. I'd like to applaud the winners. There were people that actually ran, unlike myself, and I'd really like to also applaud those attended, those women being proactive with their health in the community. and say a big thank you to Kelly and Candice for a really well-attended, well-run event, and a lovely chance to engage with the public at the morning tea afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Smith. We'll now come to Councillor Wright to tell us about the Mandurah Arts Festival Community Painting Day.
Through the Mayor. The Community Painting Day was back in early September, and it was local artist Mel McBee from, I think he's from Fremantle, but big mural painted on the wall. For someone like me who has no artistic ability, and I may have told my Van Gogh story before, but I won't do that now. It was quite great, just great to rock up and see the community getting involved in that mural and taking on that ownership of Mandurah surrounds. The wall looks magnificent. I was down there on the Western Foreshore today taking a bit of a stroll with my wife and my kids, and my youngest daughter Macy was pleased as punch to run over to the part that she painted, as well as my young nephew. So it goes to show the power of community artwork and getting everyone involved, but it looks absolutely magnificent. So well done to the city for putting that on. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. So if I've got this correctly, Councillor Smith went to the fun run but didn't run, and Councillor Wright went to the community painting but didn't paint. That's we appreciate you being there, therefore, and your presence. And next time we're going to swap, and you're going to go to the opposite ones. We have Councillor Pond now to talk to us about the Mandurah Arts Festival journey to Mandurah.
Well, unlike my other councillors, I am a Journey to Mandurah person.
That's an easy one, though.
It was Sunday the 15th. We gathered for the opening of the Journeys to Mandurah, which is an exhibition really interesting, with photos of people that have immigrated to live in Mandurah from different parts of the world for a whole variety of reasons, some being internal strife, some being looking for a different lifestyle, that sort of thing, but they've found their way to Mandurah. The photographic side is also supported by a tape of their voice telling their story of how they came, and also they've each put on display an item that they brought with them from their home country. So it became a very revealing and touching exhibition of people's journey to Mandurah. And I highly recommend people, if you're near the Performing Arts Centre when it's open, it's up in the mezzanine. Very interesting display. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Pond. Councillors, as always, at about this time of the meeting each month, we have the opportunity now to acknowledge someone in our community who is worthy of acknowledgement and celebration. And today, it's my real privilege, for those of you who haven't met her, to introduce you to our local legend for September, Barbara Singh. Barbara is well known in this community for her service. She's a passionate educator at John Tonkin College, particularly in the environmental sciences, and involving students in real world research and experiences and giving them the opportunity to initiate action to make a difference in the community. Barbara leads students in practical projects like the Dolphin Watch, wildlife monitoring, tree planting. She is the current chair of the Mandurah Environment and Heritage group, and is actively involved in lots of different community organisations, including the Peel Preservation Group and the Estuary Gardens, as I said. In addition to this, Barbara's a volunteer for the Coastal Waste Warriors, the Mandurah Dolphin Rescue, the Seabird Rescue, and the Shorebird 2020 count. And I have it on good authority that at other times, Barbara spent some time with a life-size walking dolphin, but not tonight. Barbara, I'm so appreciative to you on behalf of the council and the community. Your service to this place is so well known, and really it is people like you that make this place such a wonderful place to live. I know you well enough to know that you're a very humble person, and that you're probably aching a little bit with this acknowledgement, but I really want you to take a moment just to be proud of yourself, because we're so proud and grateful to you. Council, it's a privilege now to commend you with this local legend for this month, Barbara Singh.
Yeah, thank you to Reece and thank you to the Mayor and the community. I'm just one of many volunteers, and it's just great that we can all work together to care for our environment and for engaging youth in environmental education. And we do welcome all abilities and all availabilities as volunteers, and every little bit counts. And I'm so privileged to have worked with members of the community, from the Men of the Trees ladies in their 80s through to little kids planting trees at the tree planting days. So thank you very much for the acknowledgement.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Councillors, we'll now move to declarations of interest, and there are several. I'll come to the CEO. Oh, yes, sorry. Before moving on, can I just speak briefly to the Bravery Awards commendation to staff at the market? The CEO and I attended the Mandurah Aquatic and Recreation Centre to acknowledge several of our lifeguards and support staff who were involved in an incredible feat. A man who went into cardiac arrest in the pool. He was pulled out of the pool and resuscitated by our staff. It was phenomenal to hear of their achievement in this regard. On a different occasion, not this time, but an event earlier on in the year, paramedics from St John's came to address the team, and they said that basically the resuscitation was as perfect as you could imagine, and to resuscitate a life is pretty amazing, but to hear the St John's staff talk about every element being covered in the way that it was outstanding. The CEO and I, in acknowledging the Bravery Award commendation, spoke to the staff about the fact that on this occasion, they were able to resuscitate this man. And whilst in another time, that attempt may not be to save a person's life, the value and the work that they do is something that we appreciate nonetheless. And we were able to reflect on the fact that something like this doesn't just happen, that it requires really good systems, really good staff across the board, and an environment where people are being vigilant and are really committed to their job. It was one of those occasions to be able to acknowledge these wonderful staff and see the man who is now living as a result of these staff. It was a truly touching moment. And the acting CEO and I will be attending the State Bravery Awards next week on behalf of council, where one of the staff, or two of the staff, I believe, three, are going up for a Bravery Award, and so we'll keep you posted on that. We'll now go to declarations of interest. CEO.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillor Bob Pond has declared an impartiality interest in report number 1 due to the advice being provided by Department of Water and Environment Regulation due to his employment with the department. Councillor Ahmed Zolani has declared an impartiality interest in report number 2, the Economic Development Strategy, as his son Joshua was the chairperson of YAG. Councillor
Councillors, someone has filled out a declaration of interest but haven't put their name on the top of it. This is in relation to the deputy member of the Rivers Regional Council. Yes,
okay.
Councillor Zolani. we'll just put your name on that.
Councillor Ahmed Zolani has declared a financial interest in report number 4 and confidential report number 1, and also Councillor Ryan Burns, Councillor Dave Shoemaker have also declared the same financial interest in relation to those reports, as they are the member representing the City of Mandurah or a deputy and receive a sitting fee as a result of their membership with the Rivers Regional Council. Councillor Peter Jackson, Councillor Daniel Wilkins, Councillor Bob Pond, Councillor Dave Shoemaker, Councillor Ahmed Zolani, Councillor Amber Kearns, Councillor Jess Smith, Councillor Shannon Wright, Councillor Jacob Cumberworth, and Mayor Reece Williams have declared impartiality interest in confidential report number 2, as they, along with the parties are involved that are involved in the matter are members of council, and Councillor Ryan Burns has declared a impartiality interest as he's involved in this matter, and additionally he's involved in a separate matter with a person named in the report before council.
Thank you, CEO. Are there any other declarations of interest? I'll just remind councillors who have declared a financial or proximity interest of their need to leave the chamber immediately prior to the items being heard. We'll now move to questions from elected members. There are none which notice has been given. Are there any questions to the meeting? There being none, we'll move to... Sorry. There is no business left over from previous meetings. There was no recommendations of committees this month. There's no committees met, and therefore we will now move to reports. The first item is in relation to the local law adoption. Is there a mover and a seconder for the officer's recommendation? Moved Councillor Pond, seconded Councillor Wright. Councillor Pond.
I don't have a lot to say. I think the amendments to the local law are, for the most part, minor in their drafting, and just provide clarification and some tidying up of the laws. And I would say let's support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wright.
Through the chair, nothing further to add.
Thank you. Is there anyone wishing to ask a question? Councillor Smith.
I just had a question through the chair to the relevant officer. If adopted, can the city provide assurances there is adequate resourcing in our Ranger Service Department and developmental compliance to ensure these laws, specifically in relation to 3.1, 3.2 and 3.4 of the Animal Environment and Nuisance Local Law? Do we have the appropriate resources? Thank you.
Thank you. I'll direct the question to the Exec Manager for Development and Compliance, Mr. Ingle.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. The city's allocated additional resources already from Rangers and Development and Compliance to improve surveillance of construction sites in the short term for litter management. We are undertaking a review of compliance resourcing and processes across the city, and also the interaction with a planned illegal dumping strategy, which is currently under review. We're seeking to be more proactive in a number of areas of this area. And we've recently corresponded with builders who received building licenses within the last 12 months. We're preparing educative materials to encourage reporting of illegal dumping. We've also scheduled cleanups of natural areas near areas of high volume building. We're also planning a trial of fencing of areas where a large number of new builds are taking place.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Is there anyone wishing to speak against the motion? There being none, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those opposed? Councillor Smith is opposed. The motion is carried. The next item is the Economic Development Strategy for final approval. Is there a mover and a seconder for that? Councillor Wright moved. Councillor Zolani seconded. Councillor Wright.
Through the chair. The Economic Development Strategy is about progress, and it's a long-term commitment to Mandurah's residents to help them out, specifically around employment. The things that I like most about this strategy, it does empower the community, and you can get carried away often with the numbers that are presented to you within a strategy like this, but it becomes more than a strategy, and it's about community development and community empowerment. I've spoken about that previously. The document sets out a plan to create a future where Mandurah's wealth is actually earned in town and it also stays in town. It builds prosperity for more of our residents, and I think it creates a more economically resilient city well into the future. I often think about my job as a school principal and the statistics that you'll see in that document around East Ward in particular, Central Mandurah, Greenfields and Mandurah South, with the structural unemployment rate there would average around 12 to 13% if you tallied the three. And I certainly deal with that on a daily basis, as do the other principals in that region, and the impact that has on those families and the disadvantage that those children then suffer because of a lack of employment or a lack of meaningful employment for their parents is something that's very close to my heart. So those figures themselves become more about, you know, what can we do to try and counteract that disadvantage within our community? And more importantly, the number of people I see having to move locations purely on the basis that they can't find employment in town. It creates instability for those families, instabilities for the youngest members of our community. And that figure of 3,500 jobs, hopefully, even if it was 50%, like it mentions in the report, 1,750 jobs at that point, even if it provides 10% of the people that I were to deal with at my school with some form of stable employment that then allows them to be stable within their community, that's a plus for me. I like the diversity narrative within the document, looking at the highest potential sectors, the aged care and health, the recreation and hospitality and business services, to be able to achieve that, the collaboration that then goes on across the community as far as with education service providers to make sure our people are upskilled in their chosen career path, but more so having that option to have a chosen career path. And again, it's about building economic resilience within Mandurah. It's had a long-term structural unemployment problem in the city, but building that economic resilience for our residents and, yeah, businesses encouraging innovation, keeping that innovation in Mandurah. And there's also a level of diversification that will come with the economy when you look at those three key areas. So in my mind, this document shapes Mandurah's future beautifully. I commend the city officers on putting it together and would encourage everyone to commit to the strategy. It's an investment in Mandurah. It's creating an economy where more residents can contribute to the local economy, more residents can prosper, and, yeah, feel proud to call Mandurah home. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. Councillor Zolani.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What can I say more than Shannon said, you know? But I must acknowledge this report is well written and provides detailed information. I appreciate the city officers for their time and effort in preparing it. I fully support the findings and recommendations outlined in the report, recognizing its value in addressing important issues within our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Is there anyone wishing to speak against the motion? There being no speakers against the motion, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Is there anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. The next item is the Community Sporting and Recreation Facilities Fund in relation to the hockey. Is there a mover and a seconder for this? Councillor Shoemaker moved. Councillor Smith seconded. Councillor Shoemaker.
Thank you, through the chair. Happy to move the recommendation as put. We all know that sporting or community sporting in Mandurah it's a large part of our life, and we are very lucky that we do have infrastructure in place that is equal to, if not better, as most other local governments, not only in the state but in Australia. The upgrade to Mandurah Hockey Stadium, and I've got to admit, my brother's played hockey. I could never understand why, but I have had on occasion, since being a councillor, attended Mandurah Hockey Stadium to watch some international games, and all I can say is those people are crazy. It is one of the fastest games I've ever watched, and I've played a lot of sport, but I will never play hockey. And it is the total project cost of $864,000. It is bringing and keeping our hockey association, or our hockey ground, at the highest level, and we are the only international, I think it's international hockey stadium in the whole of the Peel region. I don't even know where there is another one, to be honest with you. So I fully support the Community Sporting and Recreation Fund Facilities Fund and the recommendation is put.
Thank you very much, Councillor Shoemaker. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, through the Mayor. So, Councillor Shoemaker, I am one of those crazy people. I come from a hockey background, and I vividly remember playing in the muddy fields in Albany, and when we finally got a world-class turf, how excited and how phenomenal it was for our whole community. So I'd like to wholeheartedly support this, not only boosting physical activity for our community, but attracting and retaining hockey players. I do like in the report how it is encouraging the use of the turf for other clubs and services as well. So not just for the hockey, but making sure that other community organisations will be able to utilise the area. And ensuring the service is certified by the Federal International Hockey Association means we will meet the global standards and gives us the opportunity to hopefully host events, tournaments, championships like Country Week we were talking about earlier. A fantastic opportunity for our community. So I'd like to support as well.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Are there any questions? Is there anyone wishing to speak against? There be none, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. The next item is the transition to Rivers Regional Subsidiary. Endorsement of revised charter. 2 of our members will depart the chamber. 3 of our members will depart the chamber, having declared a financial interest. I have a mover and a seconder for the officer's recommendation. Moved, Councillor Kearns. Seconded, Councillor Cumberworth. Councillor Kearns.
Thank you, through the chair. I support the officer's recommendation for the endorsement of the revised charter of the Rivers Regional Subsidiary. The transition to a regional subsidiary represents a significant step forward for our community, enhancing our collaborative efforts in regional governance. The development of the necessary documents, including the business plan and deeds of dissolution and asset transfer, demonstrates the careful planning and the diligence that has gone into this process. I appreciate the collaboration with the Minister of Local Government, which has allowed us to address any necessary amendments to the Charter. These changes are minor and pave the way for a smooth transition, and I encourage my fellow councillors to also support this recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kearns, and to the seconder, Councillor Cumberworth.
I concur.
Thank you, Councillor Cumberworth. Anyone wishing to ask a question? Anyone wishing to speak against the motion? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? That's carried. We please have our councillors return, please. Councillors, the next item is in relation to the WA Local Government Association Convention and AGM. Is there a mover and a seconder for the officer's recommendation? Moved, Councillor Schumacher, seconded Councillor Wilkins. Councillor Schumacher.
Thank you, through the chair. No, just nothing much to say about it. It's the annual get together, if you like, discussion and voting on issues affecting local governments. So happy to support the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Schumacher. Councillor Wilkins.
Not much more to add after Councillor Schumacher, but happy to appoint our appeal zone delegates there and Councillor Kearns. So yeah, good luck and represent us well.
And can I say we are both very excited. Are there any questions? Anyone wishing to speak against the motion? There be none. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? That's carried. Thank you very much. We'll now move to the financial report. Just wait a moment for the slides to be put on the screen before us. I'll invite the manager for finance to give his presentation. Mr. King, thank you.
Thank you through the chair. So the financial report for July and August for 2024, we have two up tonight. Just going through the first slides, looking at the graphs for the operating income and operating expenditure, both very close to the budgeted line. And looking at the next for capital, non-operating income or capital income, a little bit below the line, but we will see that uptick as we start doing more capital projects. And also the capital expenditure, the actual expenditure is below budget. However, you can see the commitments line is well above budget as well. So as we start recognizing those commitments as actuals, those two lines should converge at some point, and we should start seeing more actuals. Interest trends through to August, we have saved 35,642 through our loan offset accounts, with term deposit interest attracting up to about 5.2%. That hasn't changed for quite a few months now. The rates receivable. So August last year, we had received 20.8%. August this year, we have received 5.2%. That is purely because the rate notices went out a bit later this year and the due date is 2nd of October. So we should see next month quite a decrease in that line. And the rates collections above 10,000 and 3 to 10,000, we are quite a bit above last year for the same reason. Rate notices have only just gone out, so we should see that decrease as well. Budget variations, I'll take them as read in the report. The July tenders and the August tenders as well, I'll take as read, but I'll just state that the city's procurement team observed the tender evaluation process and is satisfied the probity and procedural aspects relating to the evaluation were compliant. Thank you.
Thank you to the Manager for Finance. Are there any questions in relation to the presentation? Yes, Councillor Wilkins.
It's just a question in relation to an item, an upgrade. Can I ask that?
Yes, absolutely.
Just hoping to get some info on the Roy Tucky Reserve BMX track pump renewal. It says design only. When will we get to see that?
Thank you. I'll direct the question to the Director of Built and Natural Environment.
Through the Mayor, I mean, that will be further considered through the next review of the long-term financial plan, where consultation with elected members will be starting shortly.
Thank you very much. Any other questions to the presentation? There being none, we'll now move into the report. Could I ask for a mover and a seconder for the finance report for July, please? Councillor Jackson moved. Councillor Kearns seconded. Councillor Jackson.
Happy to receive the report. Can I just say too, we've had lots of these and I'm struggling to think of one where we don't have a positive message out of it. And I really appreciate the way that they're presented. And I mean, we have a bit of fun about you clearing the room and what have you, but no, we don't control that. But I really appreciate the way that they are presented. We get good context, good information, and whenever we ask for something a little bit different or the room that's finding it a bit hard to understand, you always come back and really clarify that. So thanks so much for that. Really appreciate that. And I personally feel like we're in really safe hands. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jackson. Councillor Kearns.
Thank you through the chair. Couldn't agree more, Councillor Jackson. I'm missing Peter Rogers, Councillor Rogers' little update himself that he makes, but thank you so much. And yeah, I second that.
Thank you. Is there anyone wishing to ask a question? Any speakers against? There being none, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Carried unanimous. The next item along the same lines is finance report for August 2024. Is there a mover and a seconder? Councillor Pond moved. Councillor Smith seconded. Councillor Pond.
On top of what's just been said on the previous one, there's not a whole lot to say, although I will give a shout out to the fact that Peel Street, we're getting into September now, but Peel Street is open again, which many, many people will be very happy about. Also need to note the slab work on the Dawesville Community Centre and the progress that's being made. They're very important projects for us. So yes, I recommend the report.
Thank you very much, Councillor Smith as the seconder.
Nothing further through the chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Anyone wishing to speak against? There be no speakers against. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? That is carried also. The next item is in relation to the Delegated Authority new and amended report, Report 8. Is there a mover and a seconder for this report? Moved Councillor Kearns, seconded Councillor Shoemaker. Councillor Kearns.
Thank you through the chair. I fully support the officer's recommendation, really housekeeping, and thank you for the officers for your work.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Shoemaker.
Thank you through the chair. Nothing further.
Thank you. I'll ask, are there any questions? Anyone against? Motion? Favour? That's carried. Do you ever imagine what it would be like if we didn't have a delegation register? Our meetings would go for 4 days. We'll now hear the confidential item. So I'll need a mover and a seconder that the meeting proceed behind closed doors. Councillor Pond, seconded Councillor Wilkins. Is there anyone opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you very much to those who have joined us for our meeting tonight. We bid you farewell. having proceeded with open doors, could I have the doors open? At 6:55, could I ask for a mover and a seconder that council endorses the resolution taken with closed doors? Councillor Kearns, seconded Councillor Pond. Is there anyone that's opposed to that? There be none. Declare the motion carried. With all items of business having been concluded, I'll close the meeting at 7:55. 6:55, let me clarify.